Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to call the Planning Commission Board meeting to order. And to determine a quorum, can I please get a roll call vote, please?
Yes, sir. This is a roll call vote for the Planning Commission meeting on March 13th, 2025. Commissioner Brown?
Here.
Hart?
Here.
Hodges?
Here.
McDonald? Person?
Here.
Russell?
Present.
Samad? Trimble?
Present.
Baxter?
A little out of breath, but I'm here.
Vickers?
Present.
We have a quorum.
All right, thank you. Last month, we had a new commissioner, Commissioner Trimble. He's on the board now, and he's full, alive, and kicking and got it down. And we actually now have a new commissioner that came on board, actually, for his first meeting, Mr. Andre Bernard here. Welcome to the board here, sir. All right. And so with that being said, I'm sure every commissioner had an opportunity to review the minutes. So this is a motion for approval of the minutes.
So moved. Mr. Chair, are we going to have a reading? Second that motion.
All right. We have a motion on the table
Second.
and a second. Can I get a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Hart?
Yes.
Hodges?
Yes.
McDonald? Person?
Yes.
Russell?
Aye.
Samad? Trimble?
Yay.
Baxter?
Yes.
Vickers?
Yes.
Minutes are approved.
All right. Moving right along to the reading of the consent agenda.
Following is a consent agenda for the Little Rock Planning Commission meeting on March 13th, 2025. The first group of items are on for deferral or withdrawal. Item 1, S16 or 1963 is being deferred to the April 10th, 2025 agenda due to further legal issues. The deferral will not be charged to the applicant. Item number 2, Z 10,067 is being withdrawn without prejudice as the applicant failed to complete notifications to surrounding property owners, and the application has previously been deferred twice. Item 5, Z 10,112 is being withdrawn at the request of the applicant. Item 8, Z 10,123 is being deferred to the April 10th agenda as the applicant failed to notify surrounding property owners as required. Item 9, Z 10,124 is being withdrawn at the request of the applicant. Item 10, Z 10,107 is being deferred to the April 10th agenda at the request of the applicant. Item 11, Z 5317B is being deferred to the April 10th agenda as the applicant failed to notify surrounding property owners as required. Item 12 is being withdrawn without prejudice at the request of the applicant. And item 19, MSP 2025-02 is being deferred to the April 10th agenda due to legal issues. The deferral will not be charged to the applicant. Next are the items on consent approval. Item 3 is being moved to the regular agenda for discussion. So the first consent approval item is item number 4, Z 10,116, Hadley Daycare Center, CUP, 3825 Antioch Boulevard. Staff recommends approval of the requested CUP subject to compliance with the comments and conditions outlined in paragraphs D and E and the staff analysis of the agenda staff report. Items 6 and 7 are being moved to the regular agenda for discussion. Item 13, Z 5405C, Baptist Preparatory School, revised CUP, 8400 Ranch Boulevard. Staff recommends approval of the requested revisions to the CUP, subject to compliance with comments and conditions outlined in paragraphs D, E, and F and the staff analysis of the agenda staff report. Item 14, Z 10,133, Vibe and Vision Content Studio Event Center, CUP, 1124 South Battery Street. Staff recommends approval of the requested CUP, subject to compliance with the comments and conditions outlined in paragraphs D, E, and F, and the staff analysis of the agenda staff report. Item 15, Z7069E, Tisdale Properties Self-Storage Revised PDC, 8500 West Markham Street. Staff recommends approval of the revised PDC zoning, subject to compliance with the comments and conditions noted in paragraphs D, E, and F in the staff analysis of the agenda staff report. Items 16 and 17 are being moved to regular for discussion. And the final item on consent approval is item 18, MSP 2025-01, relocation of a collector street, south side of Pride Valley Road at Worthen Drive. Staff recommends approval of the relocation of the proposed collector on the master street plan. That concludes the consent agenda.
Thank you, Monty. If there's not any questions on the consent agenda reading, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the agenda as read.
We have a motion. Have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Let me get a roll call vote, please.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Hart?
Yes.
Hodges?
Yes.
McDonald? Person?
Yes.
Russell?
Aye.
Samad? Trimble?
Yay.
Baxter?
Yes.
Vickers?
Yes.
Consent agenda has been approved.
All right. Thank you, Torrance. If your item was on the consent agenda and it was approved, you may now, at this particular time, we would love for you to stay, but you are welcome to leave at this particular time. If your item was moved to the regular agenda, please stay seated, and we will call the action item momentarily. It will go as follows. Item 17, item 6, item 3, item 7, and item 16. And the first item we will have up is item number 17, that's Z-10132, the Hoover PDC. And go ahead, Monty.
For the record, this is file number Z 10132, Hoover PDC.
Yes.
South side of Goodson Road at Highway 10. The applicant is not here due to the fact that you're going to request deferral.
Yes, so we request to deferral. We have a new commissioners on staff, and to make sure that all commissioners have the appropriate time to review. So we're going to request deferral until the next meeting without prejudice. So if I can get a motion for deferral for item number 17.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to defer file item number Z-10132 to the April meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Make it a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Hart?
Yes.
Hodges?
Yes.
McDonald? Person?
Yes.
Russell?
Aye.
Samad? Trimble?
Yay.
Baxter?
Yes.
Vickers?
Yes.
Motion has been approved to defer this item to the next meeting.
All right, thank you. Moving right along to item number 6, and that is Z-10117, the Oyster Bar Employees Parking, PDC. If the applicant is present, please make your way to the podium. Thank you. And while you're making your way, we will give the reading. Monty, if you will.
Item number 6, file number Z 10117, the Oyster Bar Employee Parking Lot, PDC, 109 South Booker Street. The applicant is proposing to rezone the property from R3 to PDC to allow for the development of an asphalt paved surface parking lot for employees of the Oyster Bar restaurant. The parking lot will contain a single bar electronic gate at the entrance along South Booker Street and will be used exclusively for the employees of the Oyster Bar. The property is located south of West Markham Street, east side of South Booker Street. The parking lot dimensions are 140 feet by 46 feet, or 6,440 square feet. The existing single-family residence will be removed from the property, replaced with the employee parking lot. The concrete driveway will extend from South Booker Street, provide access through the parking lot, which will contain 11 spaces. Traffic will be one-way moving from west to east from South Booker Street through the parking lot, will exit north to West Markham Street. The proposed parking lot contains an existing metal guardrail and stone wall along the north property line. The applicant is proposing to build a 6-foot-tall wood privacy fence and typical landscaping along the south property line. Staff supports the rezoning of the property from R3 to PDC to allow for the development of a private parking lot for employees. There are several restaurants in the vicinity, and staff feels the proposed use will provide relief from on-street parking along South Booker Street and the general area. Staff recommends approval of the PDC rezoning, subject to compliance with comments and conditions outlined in paragraphs D and E, and the staff analysis of the agenda staff report.
Thank you for the reading, Monty. Applicant, please state your name for the record.
My name is David Carpenter.
All right, thank you. Now, you are more than welcome to actually go first, make your statement. If you'd like to defer your time or reserve your time, and we do have, I think, one card in opposition, and you can, and then come back afterwards. It's totally your choice.
Mostly, all I want to say is that our application is basically for our employees, as far as that parking goes. And it's a private lot, it's not open to public. And the way it's designed, I believe that I've worked with the city on actually designing it, and I thought we met every requirement of the city when we did this. And if I haven't, then we're willing to do whatever we got to do to have this, because that area is kind of congested for parking. And I'm talking about not only for employees, but for our customers as well. So we're just trying to help relieve some of the parking congestion in that area. And if there's an issue, let me know. I think we can come up with an answer. And the city's been more than open with us to help resolve any of these issues.
All right. If that's all.
Right now, yeah.
All right, no problem. I'm sure some of the commissioners may have some questions for you.
Sure.
But at this time, there is one card in opposition on this, and then afterwards, we will bring you back up afterwards, okay?
Okay, so would that be sooner or later, I guess?
No. If you're done making your presentation on this,
Right.
then of course you can take your seat. I have one card that is in opposition. I would bring that person up. And then afterwards, if any of the commissioners have any questions,
I
we
understand.
will have you to come back up.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. So there is one card in opposition. That is Mark Stockton, or? Oh, Mark Stoller. Oh, Mayor Stoller. I apologize. The reading on here, I think I may need some glasses. I'm sorry about that here.
How soon we forget, yes.
I was looking at it and I was,
It's my handwriting,
I guess
Mr. Chairman.
The glasses are starting to come.
It's my handwriting. I
forward.
apologize.
My apologies.
Well, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission, I want to clarify. I represent the owner of a fourplex that is immediately south of the proposed parking lot. And for those of you who've been to the Oyster Bar, you know the area and the terrain. Water flows downhill, and this is this parking lot is they're asking to remove a house and make a hardscape for this parking lot. And I appreciate the fact that there is a lot of congestion. I have to confess that I've been to the Oyster Bar several times and enjoy the opportunity to try and find a parking place over there. One of the things that I wanted to really place in the record and make sure, I know this talks about the staff comments and in compliance with those staff comments, but there are 3 or 4 things that I want to make sure are really complied with as it relates to this development. Number 1 is lighting. Obviously, it is congested, and we're going to add, the proposal is to add a lot of parking to that area. Most importantly, it has been submitted to the city as a parking area for employees only. And in fact, I believe the condition is that there be signage that says employee-only parking. And I want to make sure that that is complied with relative to, obviously, the congestion that is on the streets there. And finally, the issue of drainage. This issue is not in the, I don't believe is in the statements and the review that the Planning Commission made, but I will say, and I want to compliment the planning staff and their environmental compliance engineer, Mr. Dahlgren, for working with me to indicate that before a building permit will be issued, that the drainage off of this parking lot, which goes south and it goes onto the property, will be drained either through the alley or through and onto the street with a drainage system. It's very important. We have a serious drainage problem that is affecting that property now, and it'll only be exacerbated by virtue of making the hardscape parking lot that exists. So I wanted to get that in the record. I wanted to make sure that those issues are complied with by the city as it relates to a building permit that would be issued. I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Okay, at this particular time, since you're up here, Mr. Ola, I want to open the floor up to any of the commissioners. They have any particular questions for you at this particular time on the issues of the lighting, employee only, or drainage issues. Did any of the commissioners have any questions at this particular time? All right, if not,
Thank you,
very
Mr.
much.
Chairman.
All right,
It's good to see you again.
thank you. Applicant, if you will come back up here to the podium. And I will say this just for the record, for every action item we have on the list tonight, for support or opposition, you get up to 20 minutes. So I will say that, and just not for this action item, but for everyone. And so with that being said,
I will
Mr.
not
Carpenter,
take
you
20
do have
minutes.
some time left. And if you want to speak on any of the issues that Mr. Stodola kind of commented on, feel free to
As he just said.
address anything.
We understand all of the issues that are on that, that site. And we have engineers that are making sure the grades and things for as far as drainage and the other things that he just spoke about. I'm not an engineer, so I don't do that. But what I'm saying is all of the stuff that we presented to the city, I believe is compliant with what just, Stodola just said. And the best I can do is say, we will do whatever the city requires of us to do to redevelop that site. But when you talk about parking issues, we believe that we're resolving part of the parking issues because we're taking 11 parking spaces off of the street, putting them on that lot, and we're just taking down a house that's, since we bought that property in 2019, that particular house, I'm not gonna just point fingers at things, but it's been nothing but a drug haven. I mean, it's just been nothing but people out there smoking dope on the back or the front porch and stuff out, and we just got tired of it, actually. So we actually would have just bought the house and scraped it down and not put something, but we saw an opportunity for our employees to have parking off of the street, get them in there, and it is a private lot, so only employees get to go in there, okay? And we counted the number of employees that need a parking space. I think we're pretty good, and so we're almost eliminating our employee parking off the street. Now, it's not enough for the restaurant in its entirety. We would like to have more, but we've searched all around and have not been able to resolve that issue. But we're not gonna end here. We'll just do the best we can. If you are willing to allow us to do this for our employees and to move forward, I believe that it will help not only our business, but also some of the issues that may be in the city's interest, I think. And also, they're gonna develop that street right, which is Markham, right in front of the Oyster Bar. The city and the state are gonna change all of that, and we're trying to kind of bring that all together. If you look at the overall design of that area, the city-state's gonna bring, which is Markham, Highway 70, it's all gonna tie into this parking lot. So I think it's in the best interest of the city and obviously for our business to allow this to go forward.
So to answer a quick question here, Mr. Carpenter, just to confirm what was said, you will have a sign up there that says employee-only parking?
Yes, I submitted that back. I think maybe it didn't get through to all of you, but it does say employee only, and it actually, it doesn't only say that. It says employee parking only, and then it says restricted parking, employee only is what I think it says.
Okay. So I want to open the floor at this time for any commissioners.
Yep.
Go ahead.
And looking at this schematic, it says electronically controlled gate.
Correct.
So the employees will have cards to get in and out, or how does that work?
Only employees will have those. The
Okay.
people that go into that are the employees, and employees
So-
only will have it.
So
Not every employee
Right.
in the restaurant, but I don't want to say we're selective, but mostly kitchen.
the
Most
major
of
ones.
this is kitchen.
So anyway, so it is controlled.
Correct,
Okay,
yes.
with the gate. Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? I'm sorry, Monty. We have
Mr. Chair,
staff.
just to clarify, the issue of the sign on the parking lot is part of the applicant's request and part of the staff report.
All right, thank you. Do we have any other questions or comments from any other commissioners?
Mr. Carpenter, just in terms of those lighting and drainage issues that Mr. Stodola brought up, fully resolved, agree, fine with that, correct?
I believe what we've done is to follow the city's guidance on what we do, keep it low light, down, and on the fence, we put it at a lower, and it all is directed down just to highlight the area during the evening. And it is all controlled, either time or light, whichever. I don't know what the control is at this point, so, but it will be one of the two, either time or light. Light sensor. That's all, that's all I know how to do on that.
And just.
Nope.
And then just looking at the schematic, I noticed that those little circles, those are bushes, correct?
Those are, yeah, that's
And that-
landscape.
And I know sometimes bamboo, various things is used to slow the water, so just so there's not a rush
Right.
of water, Mr. Stola's property, all taken care of.
Yes, and I just spoke to our engineer today about the site because I was given that information that you were talking about drainage and all of that. We understand that drainage is an issue and that, believe me, the oyster bar is across the street. We have a drainage issue over there. Because if you know that topography of that area, it is lower than everything to the north of us. So we get all of the water from the north, not just on this property. That drainage comes from north of us, across Markham. And so we have to deal with that at the oyster bar as well, again, which is to the west of Booker. We're on the east. We will deal with the drainage on that lot. That's just, all you can do is on any site to deal with it best you can. I don't know what else to do,
Yes, sir.
Was that satisfactory? Okay, any other questions from any other commissioners? If not, I would love to entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we accept staff's recommendation for approval of the PDC rezoning in file number Z-10117 with all other comments and considerations.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. May I get a roll call vote, please?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Hart?
Yes.
Hodges?
Yes.
McDonald? Person?
Yes.
Russell?
No.
Samad? Trimble?
Yay.
Baxter?
Yes.
Vickers?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you, applicant, for coming.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you all. All right. So we'll just give just a moment for the applicant to depart from the panel, and we'll move right along to item number 3. That's Z-10069, Our Lady of the Holy Soul Catholic Church, parking lot PDO. If the applicant is present, can you please make your way to the podium? And while we're doing that, may I have the reading, please, Monty?
Item number 3, file number Z 10,069. This is the Our Lady of the Holy Souls Catholic Church parking lot PDO located at 1015 North Tyler Street and 1016 through 1020 North Harrison Street. The applicant is requesting to rezone the property from R2 to PDO to allow for the construction of an off-street service parking lot for Our Lady of Holy Souls Catholic Church and School campus. The property is located in the Hillcrest Design Overlay District, Section 434.15B3 of the city's zoning ordinance states that no parking is to be located within the front setback of lots. Portions of the proposed parking lot will be located within the front 25-foot setbacks of the lots fronting North Harrison Street and North Tyler Street. As such, the ordinance requires that the parking lot be reviewed through this planned development process and not a conditional use permit, which would typically be required for a church. 2 points of ingress egress are proposed for the parking lot, a 24-foot wide driveway extending from J Street to the north and a 30-foot wide driveway extending from North Harrison Street. The applicant proposes to develop the parking lot in 2 phases. Phase 1 will be removal of an existing 2-story single-family residence on Lot 1, Block 9 Hollenberg Edition, and will include 45 total parking spaces. ADA parking will be provided within the existing parking area to the south. Phase 2 will include 19 parking spaces. The inclusion of parking on Lot 2 will occur sometime in the future as the developer notes that the existing one-story single-family residence will exist until the tenant who lives there no longer occupies the residence. The development of a parking lot will service the campus to the south. Staff is supportive of the requested PDO zoning. The new facility is expected to relieve on-street parking in the neighborhood. Staff recommends approval of the PDO rezoning subject to compliance with the comments and conditions outlined in paragraphs E and F in the staff analysis of the agenda staff report.
Thank you for the reading, Monty. Applicant, please state your name for the record.
I'm Susie Williams, and I'm here to represent the church. Firstly, I think there was a change in the submittal, so the Phase 1 and Phase 2 is actually inaccurate. Did that get submitted? No. It's just part of the. It's on the, yeah, it's per the plans. The Phase 1 does not remove that residence yet. Phase 2 is where the property is, where the houses currently are. So that's different than what you had stated. I'm just here, the church.
Ms. Williams, hold on for
Oh, I'm
1
sorry.
minute. So did we make that correction just for the record, Monty, of what you just said?
It's part of the public record since the
Okay.
applicant has stated it.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure. Now, Ms. Williams, before we get started here, we do have a host of cards that's
yes.
in opposition.
Yes.
Would you like to go ahead and make your presentation now, or would you like to defer your time and after opposition come back up?
I was just going to make a quick statement and then defer.
No, take your time.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
Sure. I'm just, our points are, we are here to try to add parking for the church. It is currently, half of the property is currently empty, half of the property currently has housing. One is empty, one has a renter as stated. We will do it in 2 phases. We received some concerns from neighbors and HRA. We met with them. We discussed concerns. We had a good conversation. We then deferred to the March meeting at their request. We did make some changes of landscaping and green space, also at their request, adjusted some traffic flow, which all of it was good in the end anyway for both of us. That being said, there's still some that want parking and some that don't. So this is where we are. But we are just trying to get some existing parking to help with our growing parish. We don't have enough parking for just daily staff and church events. So that is why we were here, and I will defer the rest of my time till after the residents.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
Thank you.
All right. So moving right along to the opposition cards, I'm going to name them out in order here. The first card, and I will just say this, there is a host of cards. So if you want to yield your time, you have up to 20 minutes. So I'm going to call them by name. If you wish to yield your time, and if y'all have like a group leader or something that's speaking, you can do that as well. So the first card is Craig Berry.
Thank you. My name is Craig Berry, Chairman, Vice Chair, fellow Commissioners, City Director, and staff. I'm a Hillcrest resident. I don't live in the immediate neighborhood. The reason I'm here is I'm a former planning commissioner, and I played a role in the development of the design overlay district, particularly the parking requirement. And the reason I just wanted to remind the commission of that, with the history of that, is the parking requirement in Hillcrest is 50% of what the suburban standards are. So businesses, institutions, they don't need the kind of parking you need when you go out west to shop at Walmart, because you have on-street parking. And on-street parking is a credit to any required parking. So the 50% minimum requirement is also the cap. So that governs, and that's why this is before you as a PDO. I would like to say, you know, post-COVID, I haven't noticed church attendance at my church has not been good. I didn't see any church attendance records. She mentioned a growing parish. I would like to push back a little against Monty saying it needs to relieve on-street parking. Well, that's the very idea of Midtown. There is on-street parking. And I would question, as much as I like Holy Souls Institution, this is probably not a good solution, and it's a violation of the spirit of why we have the design overlay standard. Thank you.
Thank you. Carol Young.
My name is Carol Young. I also live in Hillcrest. Thank you, commissioners, for allowing us to speak. I sent each of you an email, I believe on Tuesday morning, and it outlined everything that I would like to say, so I don't need to repeat that if you have kept up with your emails. I think this is more for the school rather than the church. And I think there are only a few times that everybody, all the parents and everyone come to the school to do this. And there's another Catholic church named St. Mary's that's less than a mile away, actually just a few blocks away. There's a church, there's a school, sorry. There's a school, St. Mary's, and if they need overflow parking there, they could use that for that. I know it was revised to put the trees in, but if you put trees in and surround them with asphalt, they're not going to live. My suggestion would be for them, if this does go through, that they consider putting in some sort of semi-permeable parking lot like at Heifer downtown, where the water could actually go through. And also, I'm just totally against tearing down perfectly good houses in Hillcrest. We're a neighborhood. We want to have neighbors that we know. We don't want to have asphalt. Thank you.
Thank you. Tricia Bean.
Hello, Commissioners and Chairman. Thank you again for giving us time today to speak about this topic. So I'm going to read a letter that I submitted to everybody back in February, just because it's kind of the same. I don't really have anything new to add, but there are some critical points here. So I'm with the Quapaw Corridor Association. For those of you who may not know me, I'm the executive director. And we strongly oppose Our Lady of the Holy Souls Catholic Church application to demolish two historically significant homes at 1016 and 1020 North Harrison for the construction of a surface parking lot. We urge the Planning Commission to deny this application due to its detrimental impact on the Hillcrest Historic District's integrity and surrounding neighborhood. We request that these comments be included in the official record today. The properties in question represent irreplaceable architectural assets that maintain exceptional structure and historical integrity. The two-story Dutch Colonial Revival home at 1020 exhibits outstanding structural integrity with well-preserved original features. The other home, which is a craftsman-style residence at 1016 North Harrison, demonstrates similar structural soundness based on thorough exterior assessment, and I have been in the two-story home myself. It's in great shape. Both properties are prime candidates for inclusion in the National Register listed district through Little Rock's ongoing Historic District Survey and boundary expansion. This designation will qualify them for various preservation incentives, including federal and state historic tax credits, preservation grants, technical assistance programs. These resources would facilitate rehab and continued residential use rather than demolition. The proposed demolition and parking lot construction directly violates Hillcrest Design Overlay District regulations, which explicitly state no parking shall be allowed in the front yard setback. The regulation serves to preserve the district's historic streetscape, maintain the neighborhood's pedestrian-oriented character, protect the architectural rhythm of the street, and safeguard property values through consistent urban design standards. The application presents several critical deficiencies. No parking study has been provided to demonstrate the necessity of additional parking spaces. No analysis of existing parking utilization patterns have been conducted, and there's been no evidence of exploring alternative solutions such as maximizing usage of the existing church-owned parking facilities, implementing shared parking agreements with nearby properties such as the other adjacent Catholic church that was stated earlier, developing a comprehensive transportation management plan, and creating satellite parking with shuttle service for peak periods, which from my understanding are just peak times of service during the church year. The proposed demolition would inflict multiple adverse effects on the neighborhood. Physically, it would be a destruction of mature tree canopy throughout that neighborhood. There would be a loss of permeable ground surface, an increased storm water runoff, heated island effect from the new paved surfaces. On the community, you would disrupt historic streetscape continuity, reduce the neighborhood housing stock, which is critical to Hillcrest, and you would diminish the pedestrian experience. Potential decrease in adjacent property values would also occur, which is very significant for Hillcrest. Furthermore, parishioners will likely continue to still seek on-street parking closer to the church, closer to the entrance of the church, rather than utilize this parking lot, which is not close to the church entrance, rendering the proposed demolition both destructive and ineffective at solving the problem that they are trying to solve. Additionally, the proposed parking lot will likely not be utilized year-round, as I said, making its impact on the historic neighborhood even more unjustifiable. What we recommend is that the commission denies the current demolition application and that they require a comprehensive parking study before considering any future proposals, encourage exploration of preservation-friendly alternatives, and support the inclusion of these properties in the expanded National Register District. Preserving historic homes strengthens the fabric of our communities, fostering a sense of place and continuity. The destruction of these two significant structures for an underutilized parking lot is a permanent loss that cannot be justified by short-term convenience, which is what they are seeking. We urge the Planning Commission to prioritize preservation, sustainability, and community integrity over unnecessary demolition of these historic spaces. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bob Keltner.
Hi, my name is Bob Keltner. I'm a Hillcrest resident and also represent the Hillcrest Residents Association. I'm the chair of the Preservation and Planning Committee. So that committee is part of that association because those issues are very important to us. And as a historic neighborhood, these kind of things, I mean, you've heard about the Design Overlay District. It's something that the neighborhood has invested heavily in over the years. I think we had submitted a letter back the first time that this came before the commission, so I'm not going to go through all the points, and I think they've been made very well, but just a couple of things to reiterate. I think the tear downs of the houses, that's something that just really hurts our heart in the neighborhood. Whenever those houses are lost, the character of the old houses just can't be, you can't get it back. And so that's something that we would certainly like to make that point. The second thing, we talk a lot about neighborhood character, and sometimes that sounds a little vague possibly, but neighborhood character, when people talk about that, it's very specific in terms of certain characteristics. And in this case, we're talking about the pattern of the neighborhood. Traditional neighborhoods have these patterns, the scale of the houses, the massing of the houses, the relationship of the houses to the streets. And when that gets interrupted, it creates a real change in the neighborhood that's very noticeable. And so those are kind of the two biggest issues that we're concerned about with this. I think, in my mind, a parking lot in a residential neighborhood just doesn't fit. And I think most people here kind of feel that intuitively. When you walk down the streets in a neighborhood, there's a certain feel, and if a parking lot is put there, it would really change it. And I think that would be very challenging for the neighbors, unfair to the neighbors. And so we would like to urge you to vote against this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Melinda Glasgow? I'm going to pass. Okay. I'll pass my time. All right. Antoinette Johnson? I'll pass. All right. Is it Tracy?
I'm Tracy Tackett. I live on Tyler, right facing the parking. Mine's just to add to them, but I did like when there's an event at the school, I've walked around. I took pictures of an empty parking lot on the other side of the church while our streets are full of cars, which we don't care. It's 4 hours a week, you know, it doesn't bother us, but they don't utilize the parking that they have for these events anyway. They park in the closest spots, and our house, in front of our houses are the closest spots, and that's where people are gonna park. I also walked from Mount St. Mary's. It's 2 minutes and 23 seconds with a dog and a 56-year-old woman. So it's not hard to get from Mount St. Mary's to Holy Souls on a Sunday morning. So I just don't see the need when I walk my neighborhood and see where people park. So that's it.
Thank you. Clay Mercer?
I'm Clay Mercer. Me and my wife, we've lived at Holy Soul, or lived across the street from Holy Souls for 20 years. Our son has gone to school at Holy Souls. We love Holy Souls, but we do not love what's happening. Just a little backstory, about 15 years ago, there were a couple of other houses down Tyler Street on that 1000 block. We learned of them being destroyed, and we heard the bulldozers tear them down. We talked to the church at the time. They were like, no, school garden, no parking lot. Then my wife joined the committee to help fundraise for the school garden and the chicken coop. As neighbors, we've fundraised, supported the garden. We see the kids every day play in the garden. Flash forward to November, we see the green and white sign on one of the trees in the garden. And we call the church and it's like, hey, what's going on? It was a vague explanation. We'll get a letter. We did get that letter, but it was within a week or so of this next planning commission meeting. I made it to the Hillcrest Residents Association. I shared the story with them. They were so grateful in their support. And ultimately, it wasn't until the Hillcrest Residents Association asked the city for the plans did we learn that it wasn't a redo of the garden. It was a parking lot, and they were going to demolish the two homes. There was no wording whatsoever in the original letter that was sent certified, which really riled us all up. And, you know, we've lived there. Our kids have gone to school there. Everybody on the perimeter has been represented at the meeting that we had with Susie and Father Velasco. And bottom line, we just don't want asphalt, and we don't want those houses torn down because there have been other things in front of this commission, like a canopy for ease of pickup and drop off at the school. I was like, oh, great idea. Great idea until those 3 oak trees that were this big around, 2 of them are now dead. Expediently cut down and replaced with a much smaller tree. But that is what's going to happen to every one of those trees. And when we look up, we're going to see sky. And when people drive right off of Kavanaugh and they look, I mean, it is going to destroy the neighborhood. There's nothing special about this permit. It is destruction that is not going to be reversed. Now, the church owns those houses. Those houses will go into disrepair, and the church will probably tear them down anyway. But whether we lose those houses or not, we still don't want asphalt. And there is, speaking of Mayor Stodola and the drainage and the runoff, you know, we're at the top of that little peak. 2 streets down, there is already significant water damage, and that's with trees and land and no parking lots. So it's going to be a mess. So we beg of you to vote against it. Thank you for listening to me, and I appreciate all your volunteer and hard work.
Thank you. Heather Mercer? All right, thank you. Brian Lynch. All right, and
How's my
Mr.
time?
Lynch, let's let you know there's 3 minutes left.
That's
And we have
perfect.
the
That's all I
last
need.
card is Janelle Lynch. Did you want to let your, oh, okay, all right.
I
The floor
only
is yours, Mr. Lynch.
Thank you, sir.
Go ahead.
I only need 3 minutes. I'm going to disobey my physician here so you can see my face. My name's Keith Lynch. We've lived across from Holy Souls for 30 years, so I'm familiar with the neighborhood. I've come here today not with a NIMBY rant, but with a concrete proposal, and here's what I'm asking you. The fact is, the real property owner is not here. The real property owner is Bishop Anthony Taylor. And here's what Bishop Taylor said, and I'm quoting him. He said, "Property ownership rights are limited by the common good and the basic needs of others." Property owner rights are limited by the common good and the basic needs of others. Now, the resident neighbors agree with the bishop, but in this case, Holy Souls neighbors, we are the others. We're the others. What's the common good part? Well, the common good usually includes a compromise. We need a compromise on this plan. Well, the proposal is in 2 phases. Could I get you to put the drawing plan up there? You see it, we talked, there's a little confusion about the phases, but you can see the hash marked area is basically phase 2. The white area on the left is phase 1. Phase 2, build on the empty lots on the west side. Phase 2, tear down 2 homes, build more parking on the east side. We need the church to compromise. We need a different plan than what you see up there, because at the end of the day, it's a large area of blacktop. That's what it is. And we don't need the idea that we've just met here to have we heard them and now we're going to do what we were going to do. So what I'm asking one of you to do, or however you do your parliamentary procedure, is to either require the applicant to revise their proposal so that it only encompasses phase 1. Let them build phase 1. Let's see how it works. Maybe it'll solve the parking problem. It'll certainly give everyone a better idea of how much impact it's going to have. The houses are already gone off that area of phase 1. Don't tear down the phase 2 section just yet. And the way that you guys have authority to control that is by the zoning. It's zoned residential. You guys control the zoning. Now, what they do with the houses they're on, they own the houses. We hope they don't tear them down. We wish they wouldn't tear them down. But the zoning for that phase 2 area should remain as residential, single-family residence, which it is now. And we're asking you to ask this, or require this applicant to come back with a different plan that doesn't consist of a complete scrape-off of 70,000 plus square feet. That's not good for the neighborhood. It's not good for the city. It's not good for Hillcrest. And we're asking you to not accept this plan as is and require a new plan from the applicant. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, at this particular time, I'm going to have the applicant to come back up to the podium, please. And you do have, you have some time left.
A few minutes, okay.
Feel free to complete or finish your presentation, or if you like to expound on some of the proposed issues that some of the opposition had, feel free to do so at this time. The floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Thank you for the neighbors. I mean, everyone, this all takes a group. The church is about neighborhood and community. We have always been in Hillcrest. We're coming up on 100 years of the church and school. We deeply care about the neighbors and the neighborhood, and we're always involved in helping within the Hillcrest community. So it does not make us happy that we are making people unhappy, but sometimes that's part of process and planning and growth, unfortunately. I am going to just kind of go down and address the notes that these guys had brought up. I believe, and I have my architect here in case he needs to correct me on some of the things, but I believe we are actually under the parking requirements of the 50% minimum of our numbers with staff and employees and people that are there on a daily basis. So I think we're not above. I think we're actually below the 50% requirement that you guys have on us being a neighborhood business. It's weird to call the church a business. Our church attendance, we do have attendance. We have grown, the church itself has grown 50% since 2001. which I understand that's right after COVID, but during COVID, we only dropped 10 to 15% in our parishioners, and we have grown 50% since 2001. We do have those numbers. The school has grown 20%. So we have experienced growth. We understand that there are a lot of churches that are not growing, but ours is not one of them. We have continued to grow, as far as I understand, since the church was established 100 years ago. As far as need goes, day-to-day need, we have 75 spots available on a weekday, and we have 65 employees on staff every day. So when we have a funeral on a weekday, we have about 8 spots for funeral attendants, people to come, which a lot of times are not very young. But there is definitely a need. On the weekends, we do have more available parking because the school is not in session. I also have lots of parking photos of events. On a weekly basis, there is a need. We have school mass every single week on a Friday. We have an average of, obviously it varies, but we have an average of 3 to 4 funerals a month. Sometimes we have 3 masses in a week. Those are during the day when there are 8 spots available. There is definitely a need on a daily basis. I would argue that some of the times when some of the neighbors might see unused, I'm not saying that there's never a time that an event might have unused. It could also depend on when they're looking at it. Our gym, when the gym is full, people tend to park more on that side, leaving the back lot empty. That is not what our daily church, staff, school, daily mass, funerals, those are not the spots that they're able to use. So there definitely is a great need for parking. We get phone calls on the regular, neighbors complaining. I understand that a lot of Hillcrest doesn't want it, but there's a lot of Hillcrest that is not in the same page with them. The historically significant homes, they are not in the historic zoned to receive any of the special funding. We have some builders that reached out to the historic, whoever does the zoning. Forgive me, I don't know the name of the person who's in charge of that. We asked, is that on any future plan to be encompassed with the Hillcrest zone? And it is not. So we would have no tax benefits to renovate. The 2-story house, I will have to disagree. I think that's opinion and subjective. It is in very much a state of disrepair. It needs a considerable amount of work. It is a home. The church doesn't need a home. The church needs church facilities to make it usable for the church. It's just really not feasible for us to spend $200,000 and $300,000 to renovate it and then rent it or whatever we would do with a home. So that's subjective to an opinion of the state of the home. We also feel, we understand that parking lots, if they're concerned about property value, we think as a whole that a thriving church and school is a great benefit to the neighborhood. So we hope in the very least that offsets how people feel that they might lose value being next to a parking lot. It is next to another parking lot that's already there. There is parking already there. So we don't feel like it's a great change as far as what's already there and property values of the adjacent properties. We obviously always try to save trees. We understand that when there is construction, we did adjust the plans to allow much more space around all of the currently mature trees to try to save as many as we can. We always do plant something back when something dies or is torn down. We hope that helps keep some of the neighborhood aesthetic as far as the view of the neighborhood walking. We have some original walls there that will stay. Some of the bigger trees we are going to take every effort to save. Again, we understand that there's a risk that they would die, but we are going to do everything we can, as we always typically do, to keep that look. We are also part of the neighborhood. We value the look of the neighborhood. We value the people in the neighborhood, and so we don't disagree on those points. We have not specifically done, I don't even know who does parking surveys, other than us just knowing and seeing the daily need and the overflow and the people parking anywhere and everywhere when we have events, daily masses, funerals. We did change the plan to do phase 1 and 2, as he had already mentioned. We did agree to do it in phases. We will do phase 1, we will evaluate how that is used, and then move forward with phase 2. We did already agree to that. That was part of our change of the plans. Part of this also, which hadn't been spoken about, it's only 3,000 square feet of this, but part of it is also being used as a outdoor classroom and school garden. So we are very much trying to retain as much green space as we can for the school, for the neighbors, for us within this. We understand there is going to be a lot of asphalt for parking, but we are trying to make it as neighbor-friendly, school-friendly as we can in having an outdoor classroom and garden, so the garden does remain. The property was always purchased with potential growth of the church. All of the property that the church has ever purchased has been for potential growth and needs of the church, which we just feel like also, helps sustain a good community and environment, giving back. We understand that some people adjacent are not thrilled with the plans, but we do think the overall good, like, it's not just them. We're also seeking to be good and hospitable and neighborly for our parishioners and taking care of them. So that's our common good to give back. Let me see if I missed any other. I don't know that it's very relevant, but our signs went up in November when we started this process and trying to see if we could do a parking lot. We have tried to be as open as possible with the neighbors. It went up in November. Clay stated a phone call. He might have called someone there. I have been open with emails, phone calls. I've always been happy to meet with anyone. And so the minute they reached out to us in January, after the signs had been up since November, we immediately had a meeting, and adjusted and had discussions. So we tried to be very open because we do care about the neighborhood and how they feel. So, you got anything else to say? Greg, this is our architect, Greg Peckham. Did I forget anything?
Yeah. I'm Greg Peckham, principal in Peckham Smith Architects, also a parishioner and a 35-year Hillcrest resident, and so I know this area extremely well. The only thing I was going to comment on was the condition of the two-story house. The two-story house has a deteriorating foundation, which would have to be totally reworked in order to keep it standing. The plumbing and the electrical are both substandard. We had a contractor come in who's built a number of and renovated a number of homes in the Hillcrest area, and he commented that, yes, it is a good house. If we could keep it there, if you could do that, yes, it could be renovated. But it's not a facility that the church really has a use for and can use. We've offered numerous times to move the house. I mean, it's an open offer. Anybody wanted the house, the parish is willing to hand it over to them, to get it moved. But understanding the difficulty of the site and a two-story house in the condition that it's in makes it unlikely. But I mean, we're still open to that. I mean, and I think one of the things Susie mentioned too, I didn't mention to y'all, but the idea of moving the houses will be a little more active about it, assuming we are allowed to go ahead with the parking lot. We'll probably make a further effort to try to see if we can find someone who would want the house. I mean, I understand the historic nature of particularly the gambrel roof house, but I have to mention my daughter lived in the little bungalow for 3 years, but it's not a house that we can keep, we can't maintain, and so and it is in very poor condition, and so I just wanted to add that. I could say a lot of other things, but not today.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Williams. Yes, before I open the floor up to the board for questions, I just want you to, I guess you restated or confirmed one of the neighbors, I believe it was Mr. Lynch, who stated that just do phase 1 and not phase 2. What you're saying, just to restate for confirmation.
That is our current plan.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So that's the only questions at this particular time. Before you take your seat, Ms. Williams, I'm going to open the floor up to the commissioners for any questions. If you have a question, go ahead.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, just to clear something up for me, I
Yes.
received a lot of emails, letters about the school parking, I guess, for parents parking on the street, and for lack of better words, I guess it's being tolerated, for lack of better words. Does this additional parking, will that help alleviate some of that? Because
The hope is that it will
or is
help
it- Or is
alleviate.
it just for events? Like, well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it is for daily use, as I said, like when there's a funeral, or school mass during the day, it would help with daily mass. Is it going to eliminate all of the on-street parking? No, because unless we had we have 500 people coming to mass on weekends, there's no way, we have 500 school families when there's a school event. It's not going to encompass all of it. We just hope that it helps alleviate some of it and help with some of the flow and get, people that come to a funeral, give them somewhere to park instead of on the streets.
Well, regarding just the school,
Yes.
will this parking, you're saying this will help alleviate some of the street parking that's being done on a daily basis during school?
That is the intent. We can request that all of our people, the staff parks there already, in the parking lots.
The
So
new parking.
staff always parks in the parking lots. There might be a few that come in and out. We do have tutors that come in and out all day. I do believe some of them park on the streets. When we have spaces for that, because those aren't even included in our need on a daily basis. I didn't include them in that number. We have probably 15 tutors that come in and out, that there's nowhere for them to park when they come, so they have to park on the street. So this would definitely give more space for the daily people to get them off the street. And we've already discussed it as a staff that we will request that all of our people do not park on the street as far as daily staff. I can't control the parishioners or the events, because that will overflow into streets still, because we can't have that much parking.
Okay, the letters that I looked at were specifically, a lot of them mentioned the school pickup.
School pickup line.
So that's why I was asking, is this new construction, this new parking spot, will that alleviate some of that concern?
No, the school pickup line does not change, because like I said, on a daily basis, our staff is there. We have 8 spots available. The school pickup line, just like any other school, they stay in their vehicle, they circle through, and then they move on.
Okay,
So that's not, it's not for the school
So this is
pickup.
just for events?
Well, it's for daily, I wouldn't even say events. It's for mass, for staff, for events. It's for everything.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from any other commissioners? All right, Commissioner.
I just had a
Hartford,
quick
Stan Brown.
question.
Yes, sir.
So you said the church has been in place for about 100 years?
Yes, we are coming up on 27. It'll be 100 years.
Okay, and how long have you owned these 2 lots specifically? Did they
Oh, gosh,
come
you
with
know-
the purchase of the church?
No, the last most recent corner, which is 1020, was purchased about 4 years ago. That was we owned 3 properties, and we just purchased the last quarter of it a couple of years ago. I want to say the other properties have been 20 years or 30 years more. I'm not exactly sure on the dates of that. Has it been? The ones where the garden is?
So you've owned them
You know
for,
what year that was? So what year was that? So 15 years ago?
you've owned them 15 years. Okay, thank you.
All right, Commissioner Brown.
Yeah, I received a lot of emails about this as well.
Yes.
One of those people keep mentioning is something about shuttle busing from Mount St. Mary's or something. What you're telling me now, that this is during school, is what this?
Yeah, so a lot of our concern for the daily usage, that would not be an option because St. Mary's is in school.
Yeah.
We did attempt at some of our weekend events and masses to shuttle we called St. Mary's, we asked if we could use their lots, and they were happy to let us do it. We attempted to shuttle over to the mass, and it was very poorly received. We did it a couple of times, and it wasn't, I want to say we did it 4 or 5 times. Bought shuttles, vans, not bought them, rented shuttles and vans to pull people over, and it was not very well received. So we did attempt that.
Okay.
Any other questions from any other commissioners?
I mean, you've been in the neighborhood for 100 years, so I will hope that,
I don't think we're going anywhere.
I will hope that a compromise was achievable before this, but, I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
Commissioner Baxter. But before you say that, Commissioner Baxter, let me just say this.
Yes.
These type of situations are very tough.
Yes.
Because you know, you have a church and community,
Yes.
you have the neighbors, and we love when everybody get along. We understand when incidents like this happen,
Yes.
it can cause small frictions.
Yeah.
And so hopefully, you know, I understand that Mr. Lynch's desires is not everybody's desires in the community or neighborhood. So, you know, hopefully we're looking for a happy medium, but, you know, certain things I wanted to ask staff before Commissioner Baxter asks his questions or comments is, was there anything in the applicant's package that were questionable about any policies or rules or any statutes or standards that they did or did not meet for this, or was everything on par as far as for approval? I know you all recommend approval, but was there anything that was questionable for the phases?
Not that I know of. This being a planned development, you're not specifically tied to ordinance requirements. You propose your development and it's reviewed as per typical requirements because it's a planned development. The reason it's a planned development is because you do have some parking that gets into what would be the front setbacks of the 4 lots. So that's why it's a planned development.
Okay. And and I wanted to mention too, the historical building, or in this case, the historic home, would this not, how can I say this? Would this dampen or would this cause any kind of problems with like a historic district, or would you lose any type of points or anything like that? Do we know of any information on that? I'm just asking as far as for this particular home or neighborhood. That would not constitute an issue, will it?
The way I understand it, Mr. Chair, is this is not these aren't contributing structures in the historic district. Hannah, is that correct?
Correct, they're not, they're right outside the district.
Okay. Sean, you had a comment on this?
Chairman Vickers, unlike the group home that we heard in the historic district in dealing with the American Disabilities Act, this is in the historic overlay district. So I do just want to read for the record what the purpose of the district is, because it does characterize the neighborhood and what the purpose of the district is for. And that is something that the commissioners can definitely consider when they're weighing in on their decision. I'm not saying that's how you should decide, but I would like to read.
No, please read this for the record. I just want
The
to make
purpose
sure.
of a Hillcrest Design Overlay District is to help maintain the built environment in a neighborhood that is rich in history and architectural character and consists of both a vital residential area and a thriving commercial sector. In order to preserve and enhance those qualities, compatible design and scale of buildings, parking areas, signage, landscaping, streetscapes, and street furnishings are required such that friendly, pedestrian-oriented, small-town nature of the neighborhood is continued. So I know I talked to the commissioners a great deal about no discretion on group homes. This is one, you know, that you can definitely consider the neighborhood and where it's located.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I just wanted to state that just for the record, just make sure that we're not dealing with, you know, previous items on the agenda from the past. I just wanted to make sure that that wasn't an implication or problematic. Commissioner Baxter, if you have any questions, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So many thoughts. I'm going to try to condense these. So, Ms. Williams, thanks for being here. And I think, like so many people here, definitely respect Holy Souls. And although not a Catholic myself, I respect the faith in the church. And I think it's a great service to our community, school and the church and the parish. So thank you. Yes, like all these other commissioners have read these emails for the, past 8 weeks now? I mean, it's been a while. Spent a lot of time thinking about this, and obviously we have Mr. Berry speaking in opposition tonight. We have Ms. Young. We have Ms. Bain. We have Mr. Keltner, correct? We have Mr. Mercer. We have Mr. Lynch. And then, ma'am, what was your name again? Tracy Tackett. One more time.
Tracy Tackett.
Ms. Tackett. So did I get everyone who spoke? And I know there are more cards. I don't see anyone speaking in favor of this other than you, the applicant, or on behalf of the applicant, and also the architect's name.
Greg
Mr.
Peckham, yeah.
Mr. Peckham.
Mhm.
So I know you mentioned that there's neighbors that are in support of this
Mm-hmm.
project. Where are they?
I didn't realize that they needed to be here for this. I mean, I didn't,
Right.
yeah, I just thought it was just a formality that I just needed to be here, so.
And I guess just
I just say in general, one person would not be the voice of all, so that's,
course.
same applies here, so.
Okay, and I guess one other thought, and I think, I mean, as the chair said, I mean, this is an impossible decision.
Yes.
A lot of the decisions we get are impossible decisions. You know, Solomon cutting the baby in two, as it were.
Yeah. Yeah.
All that goes to say is, it just, to me, seems that the thought and the consideration and the concerns of the residents still hasn't been fully considered. And I know there's parking issues. I even think about funerals. I've been to a funeral at Holy Souls before, you know, and it's tough, especially for the elderly or you know, other folks to move in the parking lot, and I see that. But it still seems that for the people who actually live there, I mean, is there any way to go back to the drawing board one more time or look at more creative ways of on-site parking? Is the church open to any other considerations of this issue?
I mean, I think we've been, in fact, as far as the lot that was purchased 15 years ago, I was not there 15 years ago, so I'm told that that was purchased with thoughts of like extended parking potentially. So that was kind of always in the planning or in the works. We've circled the wagons with this for years, on and off, on and off, on and off. I've worked at the church for 10 years now. So we have discussed it. We have looked at options. You know, we did try to shuttle. We've watched it. We've heard phone calls. We've been working on it for a while, on and off, and trying to do it. I think ultimately, other than just not doing any additional parking, there's not a lot of compromise if someone wants parking and someone doesn't. So unfortunately, and it very much hurts us as a church to hear anyone that thinks that we're being unkind or unfriendly or unneighborly, because that's not the goal of the church at all. So it is very hard for us to hear that and then still try to want parking. So, I mean, we did agree to do the phases and evaluate it. Other than that, other than just saying, no, we don't get any parking and conceding completely, I don't know what other compromises. I mean, I offered, you know, we did meet, I offered to meet again. I've asked, were there any other questions that we needed to address directly? I would say that we're willing to meet again, but at a certain point, there's needed parking, and I don't know how to compromise on parking versus no. There's not a lot of compromise within that. So would we be open to still meeting and doing stuff? Yes, but it kind of you're just at an impasse at a certain point. So I'm open to it, of course, we are.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Let me interject here. I got a commissioner that has a question or comment.
Yes.
Well, I just have a comment, and I'm going to vote in favor of this, and I want to tell the residents why. This Hillcrest is an awesome neighborhood, and part of what makes it awesome is the mixed use, the mixed use within the neighborhood. You have businesses and bars and restaurants and churches and schools that you can walk to. They're not separated in giant blocks the way we are in West Little Rock, right? I can't walk to Costco, not that I would want to. I certainly wouldn't ride my bike to Costco. I'd take my life into my hands. My kids, West Little Rock, they couldn't walk to any school, and we can't walk to any church. So to me, I look at this as one of the institutions of the Hillcrest neighborhood needing to grow a little bit. They're landlocked to a certain extent, but they're not so landlocked that they want to move to a different neighborhood and move out west like a whole lot of Midtown businesses are. I sort of look at this, guys, the same way I looked at the Oyster Bar and their addition of 11 parking spaces. This is Midtown. Land is precious. Businesses are landlocked. And I know the neighborhood has a feel to it, and I know that the trees are awesome, and again, the neighborhood is incredible. But guys, this is just the nature and the fabric of the neighborhood you live in. You live next to a church which needs to expand a little bit. And again, you're welcome to move to West Little Rock, where I can't walk to anything in West Little Rock. You don't want to do that. You want to live in Hillcrest and have that type of fabric, and I totally get that. But when one of those businesses that you live with and that you coexist with comes and says, you know what, we need to grow a little bit, we need to add some parking, I feel like it's incumbent on the neighborhood and the residents to say, okay, we got to make this happen. Because if you don't, whether it's the Oyster Bar or some other restaurant or the Kroger there in Hillcrest, which is a really cool sort of a neighborhood market that, again, people can walk to, pedestrian type market. If you don't accommodate and work with and live with those types of businesses, I don't know how they can stay there. So to me, this request is not out of the ordinary and is not overly strange to me. And I'm surprised that the neighborhood is opposed to it the way they are, just because, again, this is Hillcrest. Hillcrest is a mixture of schools and churches and restaurants and businesses and homes and walkability. And so I'm going to support it. I just wanted you guys to sort of hear the explanation of why I am. And again, in West Little Rock, we have giant blocks of commercial space. And then we have a giant block of residential space with nothing but rooftops for miles around. And that's just not the fabric you have. You have a neighborhood that coexists with all these different businesses and churches and schools. And so that's why I'm supporting it.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Chair, if I may.
Commissioner Russell, go ahead.
I want to commend Commissioner Hart for actually making my point for recommending the denial of this application. People that live in walkable neighborhoods don't need parking lots. If you can walk everywhere you need to go, no, they don't. Not in a walkable neighborhood. If the people that go to this church live in the neighborhood, they don't need a parking lot. They can walk to the church. If they want to walk to a business, they can walk to it. If they want to walk to school, they can walk to it. You don't need to get into a car to drive to a parking lot to walk somewhere. People that live outside the neighborhood that go to this church, yes, they need parking.
Yeah.
The church has parking. The streets have parking. There's plenty of parking in the neighborhood. Hillcrest is a walkable neighborhood, and we should keep it as such. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And that's the one beautiful thing I love about our board. We have a very smart and talented individual board that collectively come together to try to make Little Rock a better place and a better space. Let me add another thing I know Commissioner Hart was saying. I want to say this. A lot of times we see applicants and then we have the people that is in opposition of the action item or the rezoning. I would say the beautiful thing about this of the relationship that the neighborhood and the community have with the church, and they're very open. Most of the time, that's not the case. Most of the time, if the applicant is not willing to budge, the neighborhood or community or the other entity is not willing to budge, and there's so much friction and static that we can't resolve anything. Well, I'm saying we can't resolve anything, but it doesn't come and everybody's happy. And one thing I really appreciate, Ms. Williams, you saying is you're going to take things of one of the neighbors, Mr. Lynch, said, hey, can you just do phase 1 first? Another thing I think you mentioned about talking about a garden or gardening or some effect to that. And, you know, I like that you are open and the church is open to the community and for the community. And, you know, again, we try to look at things very technical and systematic. Are you complying? Everything doesn't meet this condition. And if everything checks out, you know, we're here. Now, we're all, have neighbors or live in different communities across the city. So we have a personal and profound understanding of how things can be, right? But in this case, I think it's really good that the church will listen. The church will be open. And hopefully, I think at some point, it can be open. And whatever decision is made today, I'm hoping that even afterwards, that the church and the neighborhood can definitely still coexist, work together, and at least agree and be open to certain things that's for the community.
Yes.
You know, really with that being said, I know Commissioner Baxter, Co-Chair Baxter had said that, and if you can, if you desire this to defer or postpone this and come back next month, if you will, if you all want to talk and try to, you know, create something that you all can work together with, that is your call. You have the right to do that if you so choose, and come back next month or when you all agree upon, if you so choose to. Again, we can't dictate, we can't tell you to do that, but that is on the table for you. You do have that right. So with that, I'm going to ask any other commissioners if they have any questions or comments. If you'd like to do that, if not, then we'll make a motion for either way.
Can I ask them a question?
Take a minute, yes, please. Ask them a question.
Well, I was just going to ask, because I think I already reached out to Clay, and speaking of the impasse, if you will, I mean, because I offered before this meeting, did we need to meet again? Was there anything we needed to go over? Any other compromises that we need to look at? And is there any way that a parking lot is going to be, any sort of parking lot is going to be okay with y'all? I mean, like, is there a reason for another meeting? That's, I think that's kind of where I am.
I mean, it's a permanent.
No, no. I'm just asking if there's I'm just kind of saying,
But
so
no, I mean,
if I defer, I don't feel like that's.
Before you make a motion, let me just say this, 1 second.
Yeah.
In a time and a space like this,
Yeah.
it's really difficult, you know, when everything is on high time right now, and everybody's emotions, and they're feeling a certain way, sometimes it takes to go back to have that meeting and set that meeting up for next week or the week after, because we do meet monthly. And I understand right now, they're saying, no parking lot. And I understand sometimes certain things, when people have a clear head, you can compromise better. However, if not, we definitely understand. We try to support each and every neighborhood as possible. And obviously, it's difficult to please 100% of the people every time, all the time. We understand that as a board collectively. But we wanted to give you that right to reserve, not to necessarily say, hey, let me speak with them for a minute. Obviously, that may or may not work at this particular time frame. We wanted to give you that option, let you know that you do have that right. But if not, we will make a motion. Before we do that,
Chairman,
Commissioner Brown.
This goes to the board after here, so.
Yeah, still has to go to another.
So everyone, regardless of the outcome, it will still have to go to the board, and there is opportunity in between now and then to have whatever conversation to be had, so.
Yes.
Because some things don't go to the board, but I just want to make sure this one did, just to verify public record, so. Thank you. So with that, I want to make a motion that we approve. Or what's the with staff recommendations.
So there is a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, so I will get a roll call vote.
Sorry, what's the motion?
A motion,
Is to approve item number 3, Z10069, Our Lady of Holy Souls, Catholic Church parking lot PDO.
Commissioner Brown, I want to state one thing for the record. So usually, generally, standard protocol is vice chair will make the motion.
Okay.
But it doesn't matter, no. Whether it's Commissioner Brown or me, when we make motions in the affirmative, it doesn't necessarily mean that we agree with the motion that we're making.
Correct.
We're just required pro forma to make it so. So whether or not, and it's immaterial, he makes the motion or I make the motion, just because we make the motion to approve, doesn't mean that we personally, then we set it to vote.
Right.
But for this reason, for the record, I am siding with Commissioner Russell and Commissioner Hart. I understand, but I second that motion.
all right, so we do have a motion on the table and a second. May I get a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Hart,
Yes.
Hodges,
No, I believe Commissioner Russell said what I thought.
McDonald, Person,
Yes.
Russell,
No.
Samad, is absent. Trimble,
Yes.
Baxter,
No.
Vickers.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Motion fails.
Motion fails. Thank you for coming out, applicant. Thank you for the neighborhood for coming out. Thank you all very much. We will give just a minute.
She has a confused
for
look
everybody.
on her face. It
No, no, it's
failed.
fine.
It
No, I get
failed
it.
because you have to have a majority of 11.
No, no,
You
no.
have to have, okay.
No,
all right.
I get it.
Thank you very much, Ms. Williams.
Thank you.
And we will give everybody for just a quick minute for coming out. Yes, it failed. And we will ask if everybody can move out, please, accordingly. And if we can, you can definitely have more discussion in the hallway. Thank you. All right, the next item, action item up here is item number 7. If the applicant is present, item number 7, Z-10122, Martinez accessory dwelling.
Why I voted against the parking for is on you. Right.
Yes.
Go get him.
And while the applicant is making his way up here, may I please, can you provide the reading, Monty?
Item number 7, file number Z 10,122, Martinez accessory dwelling conditional use permit located at 5301 Rinky Road. The applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to allow for the construction of an accessory dwelling on the R2 zone property. The property contains a 1,296 square foot single-family residence near the northeast corner of the overall property. The driveway from the end of Rinky Road serves as access to the site. There's an existing 32-foot by 54-foot accessory structure, which is a barn structure located south of the single-family residence. The accessory structure was recently constructed. The applicant proposes to construct a second story to the existing accessory building. The second story will contain an accessory dwelling unit. The proposed dwelling will have the same size as the accessory building, 32 by 54, and will have 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. The proposed accessory structure exterior will be wood siding. There is ample parking on the site for both residences. Staff is in support of the requested CUP. Staff recommends approval of the CUP request subject to compliance with the comments and conditions noted in paragraphs D, E, and F, and the staff analysis of the agenda staff report.
Thank you for the reading. And applicant, please state your name for the record.
Stephen Casa, Renaissance Construction.
All right. And you are more than welcome to make your presentation now. There is one card that's in opposition. If you would like to go ahead and make your presentation now, or you can defer your time and come back up thereafter.
I prefer to defer until after.
And there's only one card, so you can have a seat here in the front somewhere.
Thank you.
All right, and we have Pam Noble. If you're present, please make your way to the podium.
I'm Pam Noble. I am not only.
And Ms. Noble, I'm sorry, you can move the microphone down if you can. There you
I'm
go.
president of Southwest Little Rock United for Progress, and as well, I live on Rinky Road. As you look at the schematics or the drawing, the house they're talking about is the living area is 5301. They also own 5305, which is a rental property apparently. It's owned by the same people. This area is if you've never been on Rinky Road, they say it's a through street or connector street. It is a dead-end street. It will never go through as a connector street until the owners of the property that it will be going through passes or the family does not take it over. This is supposed to be a 2-lane street. It is not. It's really one-way. People stop on one side for the other people to go south and west. They stop on the other side for people to go east. There is no curb and guttering on Rinky Road, never has been. It tends to flood behind that property, and the property I live on is a 500-year floodplain. And the property was filled in when they purchased the property, and I talked with one of the board members that held a different position and the Corps of Engineer to make sure that Little Fush was not being stopped. It was being flowing consistently, but we still have flooding in the area when we have a lot of rainfall. And another thing, the gentleman that just came up stated at our meeting that one of the utilities stated that they needed to have a commercial utility service rather than a residential. That I don't understand. He would have to explain that. Okay?
Thank you. All right, we're going to have the applicant come back up now. Okay. You've kind of heard from opposition. Feel free to address any of those issues. Also, feel free to go ahead with your presentation.
And yes, I did attend the Southwest meeting and presented the proposal for the Martinez. The family is requesting to turn their horse stable into living quarters for family usage. And I thought to myself, it was one of the greatest decisions, because who wouldn't want unwarranted family to come in, but to put them atop of livestock, it'll make them want to move out pretty quick. And so, and so by them putting a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, when we went to acquire the power, Energy wouldn't allow them to do it because they already had. So the mobile home, as you can see on the form to the right, it's a mobile home slanted at a 15-degree, 45-degree angle. And so the unit that's directly, I think what the young lady was talking about is their new proposal for their personal home. They purchased the property to the left of the mobile home so that they can convert it to a new home for themselves. And if you can see, we put a permit, but they ran out of funding to complete it. I guess as he worked and he get it, we'll go back to that project and hopefully complete it. But the horse stable is almost 500 feet away from the main road. And on that same street, I want to say it's other property owners with horses currently there. And so it wouldn't be an introduction to horses to the area. It just would be adding and converting, using the conditional. And see, this would be my first time applying for this, but converting that unit to a conditional would allow just like a person who owned a oil changing company and they put an apartment on top of it. It'll be the same thing, conditionally changing oil, living quarters. Horse stable, family quarters. And because of the way it's so far away from the road and it's gated off, it wouldn't be considered an Airbnb. It's not, there's no direct road, it's strictly grass. And all he's doing is putting the living quarters atop of it because of the square footage.
All right, thank you. All right, at this time, I want to open the floor up here to any of the commissioners for any questions or comments. Right. No questions. If we don't have any questions from the commissioners, I would love to entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve file number Z-10122, subject to compliance with comments and conditions in paragraphs D, E, and F in the staff analysis of the agenda staff report.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. May I get a roll call vote, please?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Hart?
Yes.
Hodges?
Yes.
McDonald? Person?
Yes.
Russell?
Aye.
Samad? Trimble?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Vickers?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion passes. Thank you very much, applicant, for coming in today.
Thank you, Jim.
You have a good day. All right, and we have one last item on the regular agenda here, and that is item number 16. Item 16, that is Z-10104 Gonzalez Outdoor Market, PCD. If the applicant is present, please make your way to the podium, and Monty, could you please provide the reading?
Okay, item 16, file number Z 10104, Gonzalez Outdoor Market, PCD, located on the west side of Geyer Springs Road, approximately 0.4 of a mile south of Mableville Cutoff. The applicant proposes to rezone this 32-acre site located on the west side of Geyer Springs Road, south of Mableville Cutoff, from R2 to PCD. The applicant is proposing to use the northern 11 acres of the property to construct an outdoor air market, open air market. The design concept consists of 4 40 by 100 foot unenclosed metal structures. 3 of the structures will be used for retail open air market, while the 4th will be a restaurant type use. There will be an area for trash, dumpster area actually west of the 4 structures, and a soccer field to the southwest. There'll be a permanent 40 by 40 restroom building located also west of the 4 open air market buildings. There'll be 56 parking for 56 vehicles, 20 of them handicap parking between the 4 structures. Design includes additional parking for about 176 cars to the west, 68 spots to the southwest, and 120 spots across the street to the south. The design calls for parallel parking for food trucks along the north side of the main entry drive. The design pathways, roads, and parking areas to the west, south, and southwest will all be covered with compacted gravel or stone to provide better drainage. The parking spaces around the structures and crossing will be paved. The owner plans to develop the open air market in phases. First phase would consist of clearing the land and making a road and parking lot across the road to the south of the proposed building site. The second phase would consist of constructing the first metal structure with its paved parking and pathways for accessibility and construction of a section of the road to the north. The third phase would consist of constructing another metal structure, parking, and adding to the road to the north. Phase 4 would be the same as the previous phases, constructing another structure, parking, and roadway. The fifth phase would consist of constructing the fourth structure, restroom building, finishing the parking, roads, and constructing the soccer field. Hours of operation would be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from approximately 6 a.m. to 7 or 8 p.m. during the summer months and approximately 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. during the winter season, which coincides with sunrise and sunset. Staff is supportive of the requested rezoning from R2 to PCD for the proposed open-air market and soccer field development. Staff believes the request is reasonable and the proposed use is appropriate for this location. Staff recommends approval of the PCD zoning request subject to compliance with the comments and conditions noted in paragraphs D, E, and F of the staff analysis and the staff analysis of the agenda staff report. Also, the development shall be at a minimum per code to use must use low impact development or LID development for any parking or drives. Gravel alone will not be accepted as a parking material. The LID shall be submitted and reviewed and approved by staff before installation.
Thank you, Monty. Applicant, please state your name for the record.
I'm Joel Lopez. I'm representing the owner here. This is Vianney
Gonzalez.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. Mr. Lopez, you do have a few cards here, several cards in opposition.
Okay.
You can defer your time now and come back afterwards, or you can make your presentation now. Your choice.
I think we defer the time and
Okay.
then we can answer the questions.
You can have a seat right up front here, and then we'll go through the cards here. The first card we have in opposition is James Stewart. If you're present, please.
Commissioners, I'm James Stewart. I'm here representing Southwest Christian Academy, which is located directly across Geyer Springs Road from the proposed development. Also, my wife is here with me, Sharon. She's the principal of the school, and I'm the executive president of the board. I have a few questions concerning. Let me just back up a second. We bought this property, founded our school back 37 years ago. Surrounded by a beautiful landscape, beautiful trees and forest, and surrounded by 240 acres of what we thought was floodplain. You know, it's kind of the city close, but country quiet. You know, perfect location for us. Enjoyed it so much. My concerns are that we being a school, 250 plus students, a couple hundred cars in and out of there every day, 5 days a week, most nights, because on the north end of our property, Eagle Point Church of God occupies one building. First Assembly, Little Rock, occupies the building on the south border of our property. They meet, of course, Sunday mornings. One of the churches meets on a Sunday night. They both meet on Wednesday nights. We have events going on all the time at school, ball games, you know, other functions, plays. It's quite a very busy area for us. We have maybe 80 to 90 parking places, but we've got a lot of open lawn where the people can park if they need to. Our property is fenced and gated. My questions are, I guess number one is, I've heard that they're gonna be applying for an alcohol permit. And I know that, city code does not, it has some restrictions on where, either a liquor store or liquor sales can be in conjunction with churches and schools. Some sort of footage limitation. I understand it to be 1,000 feet, within 1,000 feet. We're probably 50 feet from our property line to theirs. Another concern of ours is that area of town is really improved. That Gar Springs Road south there, single lane, really improved over the years. A lot of people have been dumping stuff on the side of the road. It's not near as bad as it used to be. The city's real good about sending their crews out there to pick up trash and all that. We have a major concern because our campus is, I spend a lot of money with our maintenance people. We keep it clean, mowed, trimmed. We keep it looking as nice as it can possibly look. One of my concerns is the history of that road in the past and on down further, where it turns into Green Road and heads over to Chico. It is neglected. It looks like a trash dump out there. And I'm concerned that who's going to hold, what are their requirements going to be, and who's going to hold them accountable for trash? And we can't stop the dumping because we don't stand, we're not out there all night long every night, but the city's good about cleaning that up. But I do have a major concern about the, maintaining the progress that we've made out there, because we're the only ones. The only one on the whole road, all the way from Mableville Cutoff to Green Road. We're just the only person out there. So it's a major concern of how it's going to be maintained and, meet everybody's expectations for keeping it clean and pretty. Another concern is the hours of operation, and what I just heard, what y'all announced about the hours of operation is just totally not going to work for us. We have, like I say, a couple hundred cars in and out of there every day, 250 students. We start with preschoolers. We have a full 2-year-old through K4 program of about probably 90 children. They're there early every morning because mom and dad going to work. We have, additionally, our middle school, kindergarten, middle school, high school, elementary school, they're just in and out all day long. There's certain times where the traffic impact is higher, but it is a concern of congestion out there, especially, we were thinking that, farmer's market, that's probably going to be Saturdays, Sundays. I don't even know if it would be on a weeknight or anything, what they could possibly do. But if it's like a business that's open 4 or 5 days a week, and the way you'll see the site plan is that their drive is exactly opposite of our drives. Entrance and exit, our driveways meet Gar Springs Road. So I think it could be a real traffic hazard and a hazard to our children. Just so much additional traffic on those. Now, Saturdays, we historically, during the summer, starting in March, historically, we have all day long Saturday AAU basketball tournaments in our gym. Our parking lot, both church parking lots are completely full. People in and out, in and out, in and out. If this farmer's market is going to generate a lot of traffic, I don't know what we're going to do. You're going to have policemen out there directing traffic. It could be really bad. Another one of my concerns is there going to be a gate on this property? Are they requiring fencing and gates? Because like I say, people dump all the time out there. They're looking for places to dump their old furniture and stuff. And I think if it's gated and locked when they're not there and nobody can get in there, it'd have a much more, a greater opportunity to not be dumped on. And another question I have for the developer, should this thing pass, could they possibly offset their drives, entrance and exit, away from ours? Because I just think that in and out is just going to be a nightmare. Generally, I think when I first heard about it and talked to one of the gentlemen with the city, it was kind of an exciting thing, a soccer field and all that, food trucks and all that. Yeah, maybe we can actually work together with them a little bit and enhance the things that we have to offer. But with these hours of operation, I'm just going to have to adamantly, oppose it. If we could meet all these standards and they weren't, Friday night and Thursday night and Friday and all that, we could possibly, agree with it. But it's just too many questions right now.
Definitely thank you for your comments on this, and we appreciate it. Thank you,
Sure.
Mr. Stewart. Next one is Sharon Stewart. Did you want to speak, Ms. Stewart? Okay. You don't have to speak. It's not mandatory. All right.
My concern is safety. We have high school terrible drivers, middle school. There are wrecks out in that area at times, and that's just because sometimes people race up and down it. Not our people, but other people, and we have our Southwest police officers who will come out and help us at times, which is fine. But it's very, very quiet. If you went out there, people go past Mableville Cutoff, and they look and they can't believe that it's there. We've been there 37 years, 39 now. 39 years. And we just hate for it to change. We were really excited when we first heard about it because we thought this is really cool. We can go up there for lunch, right? But it's, I'm afraid for the safety in the cars, and then so many strangers so close to our little children. I'm just worried about that. That's what I want to say.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart. Next car we have, is it Huster Barton? I'm saying that correctly? Yes.
Well, I stay right there. They'll be in my back door. If they build it, it's right in my back door. And all the houses down the road, all us, got kids and stuff right there. I mean, they are right there. 50, what did he say, 50? They 50 almost to my back door. And what they did when they set out the sheets to tell us to vote for it or whatever, my neighbor didn't get one. And she right there by me. So if something was going on with that. Yorkwood is right there by it too. I'm in Deer Meadows. It's not just a piece of land. It's a neighborhood that cook joints to that. I'm in a neighborhood. That's just the back half. But it's right up against my house. So anything they do after dark, I got to hear it. I work every day. I can't stay up all night, on the weekend trying to get my rest, and they over there having what they got going on. They put one on 65th Street. All the time something going on, loud, but it's in commercial area. This is a residential area. That's where we sleep at. For them to put that in there and we got to deal with it, and I'm that close to it. Even, like I said, Yorkwood is right there. You got Deer Meadows right there. See, none of that shows on the plan. They kind of blocked it out. So you just think it's nothing there. But it's a neighborhood right there. So I don't know how this going to work out, but I oppose it because the simple fact is we got children and we don't know what's going on. And, Southwest has been, I don't know how to say this, but it's been ran down our throat, man. People coming from out of, from different places, they pushing it on us in the Southwest area. This is just another plan to push some more on it. I guess they're trying to run us out. That's the way I feel. But with this going on, I feel like, what we got left. You right at my back door, and I can't do anything about it. So, I probably would have never came to this meeting, but this is very important to me and my family, my children, her children. She got grandchildren, stay right next door. So how did she not get a sheet to vote on this? It's kind of funny because Yorkwood, some of the people up there didn't get a sheet, and they got to go right by Yorkwood to get out. His church, that church been there for years, since I've been there. You can possibly, you can hear the band from McCullum High School. You can hear the band. So, that's up the street from us. So if they right there, you won't get no rest. You can cancel some sleeping because, it's always something going on. They said 3 days a week, I work right by one. It's more than 3 days a week. It's not, you can't possibly have people coming in. They stopped 65th Street and had a parade on a Thursday evening at 3 o'clock, blocked the whole, up to Gal Springs. So I'm knowing it's more than that. It's more time than that. But you know, I don't think it's right for us to have to keep getting it rammed down our throat. Every little piece of land we got, every little safety area we got, they want to take it and do something, build something. And that's our safe haven. Like she said, it's just a nice place to be. And if zoning that commercial would, you could ride over Little Rock. You could start at a Stagecoach. There's so much commercial property. 51 acres. You got plenty of places to go with that. Why would you want to go right in our neighborhood? You know, I just don't understand. So because she didn't get she was a little bit late. She's a nurse, so she couldn't make it here on time. Yeah. So is there any way possible she could speak?
Well, unfortunately, we try to stick to the rules.
Gotcha.
And Ray, well, we try to have them fill out a slip.
I got you, but
and I think you are addressing.
I'm trying to.
I think you're addressing her concerns.
I'm not good at speaking, but I'm trying my best to let you understand where I stand.
Yeah.
You
know, we definitely understand. We try to let everybody speak. And but if they're not with a car, we try to be strict because we don't want to show favoritism. But I mean, I think you are appealing to her and addressing her concerns.
Yeah, I'm voting no because, like I say, I raised kids there. My daughter and son graduated from Cullum High School, so it's a family environment. You know, I don't think it's a good spot for that type of stuff because if it's residential, later on somebody might build there. It's an opportunity to keep our neighborhood going. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Not to just shut it down and put a shopper's market there. That's not what that's for. You got to go Otter Creek. You got plenty of places to rent a building to do what they doing. 51 acres on Stagecoach. I passed it today. Commercial property for that. Don't just jam it in Southwest. It's just getting out of hand. So I hope that y'all, don't vote for this one. This won't help us as a community. We building every day trying to keep it together. And every time we turn around, it's something new. So this is another part of being new to us. We trying to build a neighborhood. We keep it clean as we can. But you can't sleep with stuff like that going on and traffic. I had a guy come and just drive across my yard. See, all that butts into me. It's 7 of us. What is it, 7 of us? 7 across there. They could just come through and they get ready and they come through my yard, and I got kids, grandkids. She got kids. And it's just a difficult thing for them to put that there and expect us, the people at work, to deal with it. We sleep at night, you get up in the morning at 4. Any part of they say 3 days. What if they have it on a Wednesday night? I have to deal with that. This is a neighborhood. It's not what they showing you on this paper. It's a neighborhood, really.
Yeah.
So.
And I appreciate your comments, Mr. Martin.
Right,
thank you so much. We have one last card here, Ms. Pam Noble.
Again, I represent Southwest Little Rock United for Progress, and our association does not want this in the area. Southwest, if you're not familiar, we have an excess number of food trucks. The question is, are the food trucks going to be there permanently? Are they going to be by ordinance relocated somewhere else each evening when they close? Or who is going to supervise the checking, making sure they're permitted by the City of Little Rock and they have an Arkansas Health Department certificate on their food trucks? Also, I didn't know anything about the soccer field. The gentleman didn't represent that when he was talking with us, but he did say there was going to be open areas or anywhere from 12 to 15 food trucks. That's a lot in one area. We just didn't support it. There was a lot of unanswered questions that we still haven't gotten feedback from. And my understanding by looking at the assessors, it's still owned by CBT Forest LLC. I don't know whether they are leasing the property or what, but there's a lot of unanswered questions.
Thank you, Ms. Noble. Mr. Lopez, Ms. Gonzalez, you can approach the,
Sorry, I have a question. I am her sister, but due to the language barrier.
She
you wanna
needs to come up
interpret?
to the
Yeah,
podium,
you can come up
please.
come up with them for interpretation.
I think she's gonna answer some of the questions and I'll answer some of the
All
other
right.
ones.
Okay.
And I see
So-
you all was making notes of maybe some of the issues
Yes.
that you have. Feel free to please address those issues and to present any other items you have.
Okay, so I would like to state my name. My name is Esmeralda Gonzalez, and I am Vianney's sister. She's currently buying the property. So they are aware of the plans that we have. Actually, when she went to see the property, that was one of the things she realized. She's a big dreamer, so when she's seen it, we are both moms, and we don't like to see that kids are always inside of the house because they're just on their phones. PS5, they don't really socialize, they don't really do a lot of gamings. So that's kind of what we kind of looked at. So we want to make it like a family thing. On the scheduling, the days, we're not going to be open during the week every day. It's just going to be, we same Thursday, but we're mainly looking at Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. We're thinking about closing around 5, but we say 7 or 8 because they gotta clean up, they gotta make sure that they take all the things out. I know that they're concerned about if it was gonna have a gate. We will. We will also have security. We will also have places for trash. Because right now they are going and dumping furnitures and stuff already. So we're hoping that by opening this, we will make sure that all of that is gone.
Excuse me, madam. Before you continue here, I want our city attorney to make an address. Sean, if you will.
Yeah, you indicated that you don't currently own the property, correct?
Right, we're buying.
Monty, do we have some sort of written agency form stating that they can act on behalf of the landowner because the landowner's not here?
Yes. Yeah, we have the affidavit that was requested.
That's going to be very important. I don't want to waste.
We will double check, but we would not bring an application before this commission unless it was complete.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that, madam. Please
You're fine.
continue.
Another thing is alcohol. We don't want alcohol in this place because we are, like I said, we want to make this a family place. We want to make sure that kids are comfortable, parents are comfortable. So we are against alcohol, especially having a church, having a school nearby. So that's going to be the thing that we don't want. I've been blessed. I've been living in Southwest Little Rock for over 20 years. So I have seen the growth that we have, and we want to make it to where we feel safe going to a place. I know they mentioned there's another plaza on 65th Street, which is completely different than what we have. Their locations are permanent business that they're open every day. They have huge events and stuff like that. That's not what we're doing. We just want to make sure that we have a place to go on weekends that you don't have to spend a lot of money on, and you can still have fun and have activities with kids. And that's kind of what we're looking for, especially with like the soccer fields. We're trying to trying to make sure that, kids have something good to invest their time in instead of doing bad things or anything like that. I do apologize on the letters. It wasn't intentional. It was nothing directly to you, and I'm sorry you didn't get it. But it's our first time doing something like this. We're trying to do it the right way, but I'm so sorry that happened. It was nothing intentional. We're coming with the best intentions to do this for kids and family mainly. So that's kind of about. Oh, and the traffic, like, I don't think the hours for the church and the school will affect, like I said, the way we have it planned out. Because like the food trucks, we are saying that we're having a lot of space, maybe for 15 trucks, but we gotta start slowly, and we do gotta make sure that they qualify and they have their certifications and everything in order for them to go into our place. And I think that's all I want to clarify.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, excuse me.
Yes.
I indicated an affidavit here, executed, notarized, Curtis C. Thomas, CBT Forestry LLC, seller owner, that Yanni Gonzalez buyer, certified by my signature below that I authorize Atelier Arkansas to act on their behalf of this application, this BZD application.
Yes.
Has an affidavit from the owner.
And
Thank you
then
for that.
Torrance, can I get a follow-up? Also, there was a question about noticing. Have they met all noticing requirements for the record?
The gentleman mentioned some names. I have the green and white certified mail receipts, so they didn't fill those out independently, but I do have the ownership search, and the number of certified mail receipts matches the number of landowners on the land from the title company.
Thank you.
So if the gentleman can give me a name or so, they say he didn't get it, I can look on the ownership search and identify it.
Right, because if we didn't provide proper notice, and if this thing is, if we didn't provide proper notice.
Please do not double tap, City Attorney.
Application, so that you could notice everyone properly, because obviously the neighbors have brought that issue up, and we have to provide due process, and so we just want to make sure that everyone had an opportunity to get the notice of this application. So we need to make sure before we go forward that everyone was noticed properly. If that,
Mr. Chairman, and Mr. Overton, can you clarify the number of feet from the property?
300,
Because one, the reason I say it is just for the opposition. A lot of times people will say, I never got notice, but sometimes they're not within that notification zone, even though you're concerned about it, it's close to your house. So we just gotta be very clear about what the notification requirements are. And from what I'm hearing though, is those have been met. Is that correct?
Mr. Chair, the notice requirement is 200 feet. All properties within 200 feet of this property have to be notified. That notification is correct. It was done. Some of the properties that the other gentleman was talking about, being in Yorkwood and surrounding areas, those are much more than 200 feet away from this site.
I'm so sorry. It's okay, madam. It's not your fault. What we want to make sure is sometime if it meets that threshold, even if you're right across the street, sometime it may have hit Mr. Barton, but it didn't hit your actually house. You know, once they go the radius, and it may not hit your house. So, but I know I see you raising your hand, and you know what, we may have a question for you, and we may give you definitely just a moment to answer.
and then Chairman Vickers, there was one other thing that the neighborhood brought up, and that was in regards to alcohol sales near churches. And that comes under section 493, and you cannot sell beer or light wines within 300 feet of the church, and that's per city code section 493, and the ABC would be aware of that as well. They wouldn't issue an alcohol permit.
Thank you for that, Sean. No, I'm so sorry, Ms. Stewart. Just if you give us, just bear us a little time. We know everybody kind of want to speak. We want to make sure we try to keep some order and make sure we keep the process flowing smoothly. So, Sean, did you get your question answered as far as did Torrance answer yours, as far as making sure about
Yes, I
the
just
proper
wanted to,
affidavits and everything you need?
yes, I just need to make sure that on the record, we had the owner's permission for them to act as his agent, and then the noticing requirements. So I'm satisfied.
All right, thank you. Okay, all right. Now, Mr. Lopez, were you speaking, or did you want to make your comment?
I think she answered basically all the questions that they were asked. One of the things that the city is asking the owners to do is to add half of street to the front of the property, which will help with the traffic. The gate was one of the issues that they want to have. Trash cans for the place also are going to be added, and they are on the plans. I think that's it. The food trucks will not be permanent. They will have to leave right after the gates are closed, before the gates close, and I think that's it.
All right, now I have a question because I mean I think the neighbors did make some concerns and address some things. What was the hours that they put on the application? Their hours of operation? And what days?
Thursday to Sunday.
The hours we have would be Thursday through Sunday, 6 a.m. to 7 or 8 p.m. during the summer months, and 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. during the winter season. Both seasons kind of correspond with sunrise and sunset is what we're looking at.
So what is that exact time? I know it says 7 or 8 p.m. closing. What is that?
So we are saying 7, so that will be like giving enough time for everybody to clean up and leave. But we are closing sooner, maybe around 5, giving them enough time to get everything together, because they're not gonna, like he said, the trucks are not gonna be permanent there. They gotta take it with them at the end of each day.
So by 7 p.m. Central Standard Time,
Yeah,
it will be cleaned up, gates locked.
locked.
All right. And just for understanding, Mr. Stewart, what time does the schools close on your Monday through Friday?
We're out of there about 6:30.
About 6:30? Okay.
Every night of the week, just about.
That's all I need to know. Okay.
So traffic wouldn't be an issue.
Okay.
And the music, I forgot to mention that we won't have like those big events, so we had to work too, so we won't be, spending time late or making a lot of noise after those hours, because we will be gone by then.
Excuse me. Thank you. Monty, go ahead.
So to clarify hours of operation, typically when we ask about hours of operation, we're talking about hours that an establishment is open to the public. We're not talking about how long it takes to clean up, after people leave and that kind of stuff. So could we clarify
So we will have
the days and the hours that you're going to be open to the public?
The days will be the same, Thursday through Sunday. So to the public, sería las 5. So to the public, we will be closing at 5.
Okay. Yeah, no matter the season, it'll close at 5.
5 y 6. Okay, so it will be 6, and then in winter season 5.
Okay.
Did I say that right?
Closing at 5.
So winter time, closing at
5.
5 p.m.
Yeah.
And in other seasons, 6 p.m.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So I want to open the floor again to any commissioners have any comments, questions?
Yes, so I want to talk, I'm sorry, I want to bring up the, Mr. Stewart brought up the offsetting of the entryways. I don't know if we can come to a conclusion here in this body, but I do want to address that. Is that?
Well, the location of the driveway is not totally up to the applicant. Our engineering division reviews all the applications. More times than not, they want a driveway lined up with an opposing driveway, because that creates less of confusion and traffic hazard than it does offsetting a driveway.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, what is the current zoning? Is it residential?
R2.
R2.
Was that all, Commissioner Hart? That's it. That was it? Okay. Any other comments or questions from any other commissioners? Sean, go ahead.
Yeah. Monty, have you went over the right-of-way dedications and everything that's going to be required if this is approved? Because I was looking at them. There's going to be extensive right-of-way dedications. There's going to be a lot of improvements that are going to be required. Have we went over those things with the applicant? Because this is very extensive, the requirements under Condition E.
Those were all provided to the applicant several weeks ago.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I could we just clarify what's been said at this point? The applicant has, at the podium,
Yes, please.
revised the application. It's going to be Thursday through Sunday. The hours of operation will end at 6 p.m. and 5 p.m. depending on the season. The site will be gated. There'll be no alcohol sales, and the food trucks will leave at the end of every business day. I believe that was everything that the applicant covered.
Okay. All right.
I think I'm going to ask just a few questions, Mr. Chair. Once again, as you saw before, it's a difficult issue, right? Because this is these folks' houses and right, and then, that is one question I would like to ask. So right now, we're looking at this, the schematic or the drawing, and if we look, I guess, on that western border, that western boundary, how many feet between the end of that, I mean, maybe 10 feet off the back of the goal on the soccer field? And Mr. Bart, one more time, your name, sir? Mr. Barton. Mr. Barton, and ma'am, your last name? Melford. Okay, Miss Melford and Mr. Barton's properties. What's that boundary? How many feet?
I want to say they're not very close. They're really far away. They're not. There's an empty property between them.
Is there any way we can pull that up on Google Maps so we can get a bird's eye?
I think if we pull up the area zoning map,
Yes, sir.
it'll be a little
Yeah,
clearer.
that will be easier to tell.
Perfect. Thank you. Can we put it up on a big screen?
So where it says
If you see this property is an L-shaped property, the northern leg of this property is all that's being developed. And it is not actually adjacent to any residential properties that contain houses immediately to the west. It's more to the southwest.
So the beginning of the soccer field will be where the little point where it says this site. That's probably the beginning of the soccer field until the end of the property, and that's how the houses. You can see the houses. They're really far apart from the.
Yes, sir. Fantastic. Mr. Barton, I resonate with you because there's nothing like having the peace and quiet when you come home and just, want to get away from everything. Just to confirm, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
No, go ahead.
In terms of music and events, so that's firm. It's just going to be for food trucks during, and it is, and last, if we can go back to the schematic, the architectural drawing, those little rectangles, those are going to be pavilions, or is that where the food truck? I was a little confused on that. So labeled.
So the ones with the numbers, those are the metal buildings. There's 4 at the top, and then the last one is a bathroom.
Got it.
The food trucks will be what is number 4 in the red. They'll be parked along that driveway.
Perfect. And the metal buildings, the two labeled 2, 2, 3, and 2, those are going to be for.
Those are the open-air pavilions.
Those are the open-air pavilions.
Yes, open pavilions.
Number 5 is the restroom facility, and number 6 is the trash collection area.
Got it. And I think the last thing, obviously the city, and I know some of our city directors, I'm thinking about Director Peck and Director Webb, have made really big efforts at trash. And I think it's regardless of ethnicity, regardless of whether we've been here 5 years, 10 years, 40 years, it is an issue in our city. And I think what the Stewarts, I can't see Mr. and Mrs. Stewart, you all still here? I fully understand, even my own native neighborhood off Reservoir, Old Forge, Rodney Parham, it's really tragic to see the trash thrown out. So I think in terms of trash cans, that would be a big service, and I know those are marked in the development and the plans and letting patrons know that it's important, right?
Yeah, and we
Fantastic.
will have securities also because we want to make sure that, their safety is one of them, but also making sure that it's clean. It makes it easier for us at the end of the day as well.
And then very last question. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And here we thought we were going to have a short meeting tonight. No, last question, I promise.
That's okay.
In terms of reaching out to the community, it just seems like this is something I want to bring my kids to and my wife. What are your intentions about not just the immediate neighbors? Because I know there has been some friction, understandably so. Let's say, for example, Southwest Christian. I remember playing basketball as a homeschooler there years ago. In terms of reaching out to these other groups in the neighborhood, do you have any plans for that?
Yeah, that's the plan. The plan is to not create diversity, but just create a whole union. So part of the things that we also would like to do is also give chance to kids or people that have certain talents come and perform, gain, security about themselves. Churches even, if they need the space or if they have an event, one of the things that also that we help a lot on is emergencies, like families and having people that pass and stuff like that. We always are good to help, so we will have certain things for them, and it's not only for Hispanics. It's open, just in general.
Fantastic. I think, sir, I totally understand your considerations, but I think in light of the assurances, the closing times, I will, even though fully noted, I'm going to vote for this. So I hope we'll all be able to participate and, for the greater good of our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and ma'am, what I have, definitely another question about is about the neighbors that spoke. How can you ensure the sound quality control during your hours of operation? Have y'all thought about anything or any strategies that will, if approved, how have you all thought about that? And if so, can you tell the board what are those strategies to really control the sound and noise?
So we could, where we're gonna have the area, we could work on something that we are the ones that manage, the music. Because of course we don't want to hear everybody's conversation, but we would like to keep it in a low volume until a certain time also. We don't think it's gonna be, like I said, way too many people like after 4, which is normally probably the time that everybody's getting off work on Thursdays and Fridays. But we can definitely look into more ideas as far as the noise, in controlling the noise. Especially we have soccer games going on too.
Okay.
And I may have missed it. Is this location gated all the way around?
No, no tiene
The gate we're talking about will just be the gate.
Just
gate
an
at the
entrance gate.
driveway.
So the back part of this is just open to the woods, or there's no
Yeah.
privacy fence
Sí, ¿verdad?
encompassing the entire location?
I think if that would be if the city asks us to put a fence, but right now it's all open space.
All right. Are there any other questions or comments from any other commissioners?
Last question. So much for breaking promises, right? Keeping them, rather. But in terms of trees, only what's necessary on the schematic to build. Everything else is going to be retained. No plans to knock down the rest of the trees. So there will still be green space.
Yeah, just what's necessary.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. And before we do, thank you. I'm going to, can you all just have a quick seat? I want to ask Mr. Stewart and Mr. Barton to come back up just for one last question. And this is really for Mr. Barton, for the neighbor, because the school is addressed. I'm sorry, you don't have to get up, Mr. Stewart. I didn't want to enforce you. Come on, Mr. Barton. But you can come, while you're standing up, you come up. One of the other commissioners may have a question. Mr. Barton, based on kind of what they said about the hours of operation or changing operations in different seasons and then doing some type of sound or quality control for that statement, is that something that, do you think the neighborhood, or based upon your representation of the neighborhood, that you can kind of get with by them closing by 5?
Well, I could tell you this. I ride horses, so I ride with some of the Mexican community. It's BYOB. It's bring your own drinks. You enjoy yourself. I understand that. But you have to be in an area that could handle that. It right there is so close. We got to smell. You got 50, what'd you say, 20 food trucks? 15? Can you smell 20? You know what I'm saying? The food, we got the smell to endure just being there. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of ifs for me. I wouldn't dare try to block them from doing something that they needed to do, but it's got to be a better place to do it. I mean, we got commercial property all over Little Rock for sale. Why would we go to a community where we could build homes and, make us better in Deer Meadows to, all I'm saying. It's really not for what they're trying to do. It's a community. It's not a church's chicken or something. You got to take that, where it's, a commercial area. This is residential. And to change it from residential to commercial it just wouldn't be right to no one that stays in the area. Because like I say, you can find land that's already commercial could handle what they need. Why south, why there? And it's already residential. We want this to grow in a residential. We want our kids to get big together, grow together. So the forestry been owning so long, we didn't even know you could even deal with it. You know, when I bought the home, you can't build there. That's the first thing came, you know, when I signed my sheet, you can never build there. Can nobody build behind you? Because the forestry on it. After 10 years, they cut trees and get the money to the school. That's all we ever knew. For this letter to come in my mail, it was a shocker. I didn't even know how to deal with this. I'm here because I didn't know what else to do. I don't want it there. It's a lot of other places it could be to help more people. You know, most of the community probably wouldn't go because they upset, you know. But it's a better place for that. I want to see homes there. I want to see nice homes. I want to see kids playing. That's what I want it to be. But I didn't know you could even build on it. Because, you know, all we ever heard is it's forest land. You can't build on it. You know, that's all I ever knew since I bought the home. And that's what I signed off on. So for them to say they finna try to do this, it's unheard of. I didn't know.
Yeah.
So,
No, I definitely, I just wanted to bring you up, Mr. Barden, and thank you definitely, Mr. Stewart. It was more addressed to the neighborhood versus the school. But again, I understand, and I know how you feel, Mr. Barden, and I understand that laws change, you know, regulations change, policies change. So I get it. I have definitely appreciation of how you feel and the neighborhood, how they feel.
I accept whatever your opinion is. I can't do nothing but that.
No, I understand, and thank you all definitely for coming out and voicing your opinion.
Is there an opportunity for me to ask a couple more questions?
I will grant a couple of questions. Go ahead, Mr.
All
Stewart.
right, great. What is our recourse if they're not able to contain and meet all the promises they've made about, you know, trash and smell and noise, and what recourse do we have?
You have several. If this gets approved by the commission and then ultimately by the board, there will be conditions as part of their permit. If they violate those, then we have an enforcement mechanism in place that the permit could possibly be revoked. Also, you would have, if this affects your quiet enjoyment of your property, if a specific use affects your quiet enjoyment, you can file a private action in the circuit court, and other neighbors have done that. In fact, they've just done one recently that came out of the Planning Commission. So you have the code enforcement mechanism and also ability to file a quiet action.
Okay. He mentioned also the BYOB thing. What is going to stop these? Because it doesn't matter whether you buy it at the liquor store, buy it from a food truck, or bring it with you. Alcohol's alcohol, and what it causes, it causes. What are these food trucks going to sell alcohol? They don't. I mean, I'm sure these food trucks get their own license, and and the patrons, are they going to be required to not bring alcohol on site?
Sean, do you want to answer that question? I really guess we can answer that question. It's kind of like if somebody go to a basketball game and a parent have a beer bottle in their truck. I don't know if they can. I don't know if we can say, you know.
Well, we absolutely wouldn't let them on our property, that's for sure, and we'd ask them to leave if they were there.
Do you want to answer that question,
Whether they got
Sean?
drunk down the street and run over one of our kids, or they got drunk across the street and run over one of our kids, whether they bought it there or there, it doesn't matter.
No, I definitely understand. I believe they said that they would not have license as far as that business entity.
And I would also,
Do you want to come back up to the podium real quick here? Yeah, because I want to move forward with this and move along with this. I know we heard all that. Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Yeah, thank you.
just to clarify on that, I know I mentioned we will have securities, you know, checking on trash and, you know, making sure that everything's going well, there's no fights and everything like that. We will also have them, you know, in like little golf carts, I think that's what they're called, you know, driving around like through the parking lot to make sure that they're not, you know, getting alcohol from their trucks. And then the food trucks know that there will be no alcohol sales. And that's one of the things that we are going to be putting in our advertising and in our social media. You know, that's not going to be tolerated at all. I think she'll be investing a lot of money to throw it away, like, for no reason.
So no alcohol
At
license
all.
or permits from the business
At all.
entity nor the food trucks, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. I think with that said, I think we've answered all the questions and comments. If I can get a motion for the section item?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve item Z-10-10104, subject to the comments and conditions noted in paragraphs D, E, and F, and the staff analysis of the agenda staff report.
Have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. May I give a roll call vote, please, Torrance?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Hart?
No.
Hodges?
Yes.
McDonald? Person?
Yes.
Russell?
Aye.
Samad? Trimble?
Yes.
Baxter?
Yes.
Vickers?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Motion passes.
Thank you, applicants. Thank you, neighbors, for coming out. Thank you all very much this evening. And at this particular time, we do have any citizen comments? If no citizen comments, do we have any?
I have actually something that I'd like to read into the record for citizen comment.
Okay, we have citizen comment. Commissioner Russell, the floor is yours, sir.
Can we get them to clear?
Thank you, Chair. Before I say this, I read this into the record, I do want to say that I value my position on the Planning Commission. I also value you all as commissioners. But in the a little over a year and a half that I've been on this commission, I have major concerns with how business is being conducted. So I'm going to say this. For the last 10 years, I have served the city of Little Rock in various capacities as an architect and a commissioner. First on the MacArthur Park Historic District as one of the longest-serving architects, then the Construction Board of Appeals, the Board of Adjustment, and now the Planning Commission and the Central Arkansas Housing Corporation. The city is my home. I have invested my time and my talent in this city and have raised my children here. My family and I have invested in one of our most significant historically black neighborhoods, and I have spent the last 11 years building a business here. I have every reason to advocate for our collective success. In my years of service, I have gained a wealth of knowledge about the process of development in our city and have actively participated in its promotion in all forms, both as an architect and a commissioner within the bounds of our codes and ordinances. While I understand that our governing documents are not perfect and it can be a challenge for staff, commissioners, and the public to understand the intricacies of them, we must nonetheless avoid bias as much as possible and not let emotion cloud our judgment in the service of the public good. Since my appointment to the Planning Commission in December of 2023, I have personally witnessed a level of personal bias by other commissioners that is unacceptable and in my mind violates not only the spirit but the letter of the statutes that govern us as public servants and continues to open us up to potential litigation that will set our city back decades in lost development potential and possible lawsuits. This has been most clearly displayed egregiously in public hearings by the Commission's biased, seemingly random, and unequal treatment of applicants that have come before us. My fellow commissioners seem to think it's normal, or perhaps within their right, to take the will and opinion of surrounding property owners as somehow more valid or factual than the codes, ordinances, and statutes that we are governed by. This could not be farther from the truth. Our charge is to promote intelligent development within limited bounds and to uphold the rule of law within our city. While public input is important and valuable in determining the course of development in a given area, it is not the emotional plea of the few that determines what is or is not appropriate in our city. Our duty as to the public good is viewed through the lens of the codes and ordinances that we are governed by, not by special interest or the emotional and sometimes violent pleas of surrounding property owners who offer no justification for their opinions other than baseless hyperbole. Our duty is to review the facts of each application as presented by staff and as justified by the City of Little Rock Code of Ordinances. In this duty, commissioners are routinely not held to any standard of care within their positions. They are not required to provide any justification for their actions or votes, and the applicants, the public that we serve, are left to simply swallow whatever decision they get without any legitimate hope of recourse for the sacrifice of time and money they have made in order to adhere to a process that is inherently subjective rather than objective, as it should be. I believe this behavior to be reprehensible and am calling for a review of all Planning Commission denials within the last 14 months to determine if bias was present and, if so, to allow the applicants to refile at the expense of the city, who has allowed such a gross dereliction of duty to occur as a normal course of business in denying the fair and equitable treatment of all our citizens who come to us in hopes of building new businesses, expanding existing ones, and generally helping our city progress forward into the 21st century. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Russell, for your statement. I don't know if you have any other comments after that. I don't know if any other commissioners have any comments for that. And if not, do we have any other citizen communication? Or do we have any other new business or for comments from any other commissioner? If not, this meeting is adjourned.